My name is Billy. I'm just a guy from South Korea. Just love Bitcoin and Bitcoin related companies. So for the past 5 years, Bitcoin has been increased since for about 641%. And right now, it actually hit the all-time highs again. It's about $68,620 US dollars. And I think that if you have invested since 2020 and you went through 2022-23 bear market, as you can see here, if you survive in this valley, then congrats, you made it almost there, and now it's going to be pretty much epic bull run in my opinion. And there are several reasons, but one of the biggest reason is I'm not U.S. citizen, just so I cannot say who's gonna be the better for your country, the United States. But I think that Trump's gonna win, most likely according to Poly Market. But who knows? Within 15 days, we can see who's gonna win. But if Trump's gonna win, I start investing in U.S. equity and things like that since 2018-ish, when Trump was the president. So I believe that it's gonna be the time where if you don't get rich during Trump's era, you're gonna regret quite a lot, in my personal opinion. So when Trump gets elected, the bull run will start, and he will probably print a lot of money again, which can be pretty bad thing for the day-to-day Americans, in my opinion, and day-to-day citizens around the world. But if you hold Bitcoin, if you hold the pristine asset class in the world, the most pristine asset class in the world, then you're going to get rewarded fabulously, in my opinion. And it looks like Trump's gonna win, so that's like the biggest reason why I think that we're gonna see very, very epic run. And the second reason is it has been 6 months since the halving event is completed around April, right? So it's done, and now we're starting. So when you look at the history, usually after 6 months, we see like the epic bull run. So those are two biggest reasons why Trump gets elected. Most likely he's going to get re-elected. And also you will see the price of Bitcoin, the halving event just happened about 6 months ago. Historically speaking, we usually have bull run. So yeah, that's the two reasons why I think that Bitcoin is going to get really, really big. Speaking of Bitcoin, if you're living in some jurisdiction, let's say in the US, you have 401k or individual retirement account, IRAs, then you can actually invest in like individual stocks, right? So depending on what kind of providers you have, 401k, you may not be able to do that. But let's say you have Fidelity or Schwab, you have IRA, that you can invest in, individual stocks. So that's why I think the MicroStrategy has been such a great investment vehicle for those who understand Bitcoin very well, and they hold like 1.2% of total supply of Bitcoins. And as you may know, there are only 21 million Bitcoins out there, and MicroStrategy has 252,000 Bitcoins. So that's about 1.2% of Bitcoins available forever. So if you're living like I believe UK also has a similar IRA structure like the US, Canada as well, Australia, and all those like English speaking countries usually have the similar like retirement accounts. So you can actually buy you cannot buy certain types of investments, but if you can buy US securities, then it's such a great vehicle to park your money for the long term. And I actually, in South Korea, we don't have that kind of investment, like a retirement investment vehicle, let's say we can only invest in ETFs that's listed in Korean stock exchange, and currently there's no Bitcoin ETF available here in South Korea, so we cannot actually put our money in Bitcoin ETFs here in South Korea in our retirement account and or any other regular accounts. So if you're living in the US or Canada or whatever, then congrats, you can do that. I don't see why not. I mean, I know that there's a way that you can actually take that money out of your retirement account, like take about like 10% of penalty tax, and then you can actually get the money out and you can buy Bitcoin from some exchange like Coinbase or Binance or whatever, and then you can just put in your cold storage. I mean, that's possible, but I think there are many reasons to invest in MicroStrategy. But one of the reasons is I kind of like diversify the risk of storing Bitcoins. So let me explain a little bit deeper. So let's say you have Bitcoins in your cold storage, like Trezor, Ledger, or cold card, or whatever whatever the wallet providers you're using. You use that. That's great. I fully believe in self custody, by the way. But let's say I believe that the biggest risk for cold storage is ourselves. We make things complicate too much, and then when it comes to cold storage, we are like, so the cold storage, the holders can be the risk. Let's say you die, and then who can recover your seed phrases and things like that can happen. And also you might forget about it, or you might have a brain tumor or whatever, and then you kind of like forget your passphrase or whatever, and then that's going to be a big problem. So it's kind of hedge against that kind of risk, and I believe that the retirement account is like the best vehicle for that. And I know that there are many Bitcoiners or Bitcoin maxis out there who say, "Oh, cold storage is the only way," but I don't think so. I think that as an individual, like, you have to make a choice. Like, it doesn't have to be zero. Like, it doesn't have to be this or that way. It can be both ways, right? You kind of diversify the risk profile. I mean, my net worth is 90% in Bitcoin, but like I like to kind of like diversify how I store my Bitcoins. That's just like my personal taste, but that's just how I usually set things up in my life anyways. So the biggest reason to invest in MicroStrategy is not just, it can go up way more than holding Bitcoins in cold storage. It's more about I want to diversify the risk factors of storing Bitcoins on my own. And I mean, of course, like, it kind of like it's going against the sort of like the ethos of Bitcoin early days, but I believe that time is changing to like institutionalizing Bitcoins. So I believe that we kind of like take both benefits. So I'm kind of flexible with that. You may disagree, but I think that's the right way for me to do it. So that's the one reason to invest in MicroStrategy. And second reason is definitely it's going up way faster than Bitcoins. And I think this is actually a message to a lot of altcoiners, right? Those people who are into certain types of blockchain projects. It may be possible that it can survive as for 100 years or 200 years or whatever, like Bitcoin will be most likely. But I don't know. I don't want to take risk for my capital to invest in certain blockchain projects that I don't really understand. But I understand Bitcoins quite well compared to many. I understand Bitcoins pretty well. So I believe in Bitcoins, and it's gonna be really the generational asset class. So with that, we have the fundamental Bitcoins underlayer, and then you have MicroStrategy and all these different companies that are adopting Bitcoin strategy. And I can see that it can go up way faster than Bitcoins just because it has more instruments, like financial instruments to play with. Like it can, you know, give out shares to shareholders or some people who'd like to buy bonds of MicroStrategy or whatever. They can borrow money. MicroStrategy can borrow money, and then they can buy more Bitcoins. They're actually a software company, so they make profits every year, and then they can turn that profit into Bitcoin. For example, if you're a software engineer or if you're someone who work in I don't know, some job, then you just make money. Let's say you make like $5,000 per month and you only use about $3,000, and then like rest of $2,000 you can invest in equities or Bitcoin or whatever, right? So that's what these companies are doing. And on top of that, these are not individuals, these are institutions, so they can actually use all these different, like financial instruments that are way safer than individuals borrowing money against their whatever, their car or their house. So I see that that's where these institutions, these companies have more leverages. So yeah, I think those are two reasons. One reason is, as I said, I want to diversify the risk factor of storing Bitcoin, and the second reason is I see that these companies have way more financial leverages, so they can actually, or instruments, financial instruments, they can leverage with, so they can accumulate Bitcoins way faster than I can, or way faster than any individuals can. And yeah, so I just go with the ride. So those are the two reasons why I invest in MicroStrategy. And I've been investing in MicroStrategy since the 2022, yes, April of 2022, when the bear market started. I saw my portfolio went down like 60%, 70%, but I hold on to it because I believed in, I always believed in Bitcoin, but also like I thought that Michael Saylor is a person who actually taught me many aspects of Bitcoin. So I thought that he's not like some, like opportunist who just comes and goes. So that's why I believe in Michael Saylor, but don't trust Verify, right? So I actually thought that MicroStrategy and Bitcoin is so strong. So Bitcoin is the fundamental layer. And then like I start digging in with Michael Saylor, and I thought he has a very, very strong conviction in Bitcoin. And I think one of his interviews, he said he's gonna sink with it if it goes to zero. So I thought that as a former military guy, I thought that was the commander that I like to have. So so I went with it, and it turned out great. It turned out fantastically for my investment. And I bought more Bitcoin. I bought more Bitcoins along the way, and also I bought more MSTR along the way. I'm very, very, very happy with it. And I think that if Bitcoin becomes these fundamental layers of finance, or it's like a black hole, right? So that's what Bitcoiners believe. And if that's the case, then I don't see why not that MSTR goes to $1 trillion company. Right now it's about $40 billion company, $40 US. So it can 25x from here. And let's say Bitcoin total market cap is about 100 trillion dollars, then I see why not. Like it can be 1T, and net premium value, the NAV, net asset value of premium. If it's just 1x, it's just 1T. And I can definitely see Bitcoin becomes $100 trillion market cap, total market cap. So yeah, so I don't see why not that MicroStrategy goes to $1 trillion company. So that said, I see what I'm really looking at these days is MetaPlanet. It's listed in Tokyo Stock Exchange. Just for FYI, I'm not Japanese, so I don't really understand the Japanese stocks that well, or how the policy works. But MetaPlanet has been very interesting to me because what they're doing is they're really showing me that the conviction for Bitcoin. And one of the there are actually three reasons. One is they're actually launching Bitcoin Magazine Japan. They got the exclusive license. So I will just put a link below on the comment section or the more info section. You can just read it. And yeah, so they're very, they have a big conviction for Bitcoins, as you can see here. And when you go to their website, you can see, Dylan is working here. He's the director of Bitcoin strategy. He's been, like a quite well known in the Bitcoin space, and he has been very, very diligently, updating the BitcoinTreasury.net here. You can see, I really like MetaPlanet because I thought the velocity of accumulation of Bitcoin has been so fascinating to me. I mean they haven't had they have like 861 Bitcoins, but when you look at the velocity, look at this. It's like crazy when you look at it. Actually, they've been so diligently like putting this Bitcoin, stacking Bitcoins since April of this year, and it's fantastic, right? Like I actually, when I look at these Bitcoin companies, I look at how many Bitcoins they're stacking. Not only that, the velocity of it. So those are two factors: how many Bitcoins they have, and also the velocity of accumulation. And it's been fantastic. And I hope that they can accumulate 1,000 Bitcoins by this year. I think they can. And yeah, so and also I'd like to have this sort of like a geographically dispersed regulations. Like MSTR MicroStrategy is under SEC, right, the U.S. regulations, whereas MetaPlanet is under Japanese stock exchange. So they probably have some Japanese SEC. So yeah, I think that way I can kind of like diversify the regulatory risks for Bitcoin. And I haven't really bought a lot yet. I wish I could have bought more under 1,000 yen. But so right now it's 1,265 yen. It has been increased. So for the past 5 days, it has increased 32%. So it's, yeah, I'm crying inside because I should have bought more. But I have to study these stocks. So I couldn't really get in earlier. And yeah, anyway, so I've been studying MetaPlanet quite a lot, and I think that I think it's worth taking a look. I'm not saying this is not financial advice. Just do your research. And MetaPlanet is very interesting. And like on X or the previous Twitter, you can see that there are only about 145 members inside of Mad about MetaPlanet community. And I just like it's a small community still. I think for MSTR it has about 8,000 people already. Yeah, so 8,400 people. Yeah, and I believe MetaPlanet will become this MicroStrategy of Japan or even Asia, to be honest. And a lot of times, as a Korean, when I look at these different developments, like financial developments or technological developments, a lot of times Japan actually leads this sort of a way, often. So what MetaPlanet is doing is going to influence Korea, China, and many other Asian countries, Taiwan, and so on and so forth. And then as Michael Saylor said, that he's going to create a $1 trillion Bitcoin bank. And I think that MetaPlanet will become the Bitcoin Bank of Japan or Bitcoin Bank of Asia. So yeah, I'm actually still kind of like learning a lot about MetaPlanet. It's very new to me, and Japanese stocks are very new to me. And then I wish, I want you guys to study as well. I don't really know the details of how you're going to invest in Japanese stocks in your country, but for the US, I believe if you're using any like a Charles Schwab or Fidelity or Interactive Brokers or whatever, you can see the options for the international stocks. I think that Interactive Brokers might be a little bit easier to actually buy Bitcoins with it. I mean, buy MetaPlanet with it. So that's just one thing. And you can see their website, metaplanet.jp. You can read about the company manifesto, all that here and there. And you can see the who's involved in this project. And I believe that they're not just you know, when you look at their financial statement, it's not going to impress you so much. But when you look at who's behind this project or who's behind MetaPlanet, it's very impressive. And they're showing me the conviction over and over again by, launching Bitcoin Magazine in Japan, and also how fast they're accumulating their Bitcoins, which is very impressive to me. So yeah, consider studying MetaPlanet. And it's very risky asset. I mean, it's really risky equity stock, so study well. But I think that it's going to be. I think it's going to go up way faster than MSTR just because of the size of this company. And yeah, so study it. All right, guys and gals, and this is it. Just a regular, just an average Joe guy, just studying Bitcoin, and then finding out some other investment opportunities out there. Then I'll come back. But yeah, I think that investing in MSTR and MetaPlanet, if you're interested in those companies, I think that you gotta review whether you really understand Bitcoins really well, and if you understand Bitcoin in deeper level, then you understand, actually, you don't have to invest in any other things other than Bitcoin or Bitcoin related companies. So to me, like, I guess buying Bitcoins, it's more like a saving in Bitcoin. But like investing in those companies who are kind of like shorting fiat, MetaPlanet and MSTR, to me that's just fascinating to me what they're doing. I'm not a finance guy. I used to work in Silicon Valley, so I don't really understand how they use this financial magic like deeply. But they're shorting fiat. They're buying Bitcoin. That's the basic strategy they're using. So yeah, study those companies. I highly recommend it. And I believe that MetaPlanet and MSTR both have really good future ahead. And if you survive the 2022-23 bear market, now is your time to thrive. Enjoy the ride.